Hello.
Hey.
What's happening? It is Monday, the last Monday of February. I'm excited. Matt, industry update. Give me some words of wisdom before we jump in.
Yeah, this month has flown by and coming off family reunion, inspired, excited, lots of data, lots of stuff to talk about over the next few months. But equal opportunity, unequal reward, I think is my biggest aha today.
Love it. All right, let's jump in. So numbers. We got 588 active listings in Fulton County. That's a little bit up from last week. We finished January with 558 active listings, and we got 588 at the end of February. Not a lot of news there, although inventory seems to be about the same, but everything else is not. And here's what I would show you, Matt. We've got 131 active under contract, 274 pending, and 185 closed. But here's the real story. If I can get my mouse to behave here. All right. We've talked about how the pending numbers have continued to climb as we moved into the spring market. But here's what I want you to see. If you look at February's active under contract, we got 129, 130, 154, 131. Look at the comparison of those numbers to the January numbers. 90, 105, 116, 125. So you can see that February's actually got more houses going under contract than January did. So what's that tell me? It tells me the real estate market is actually moving towards the traditional bell curve of slow January, February speed up. We're going to have a great March, we believe. You can also see it here in the pendings. You got 285, 297, 321, 274 compared to 83, 153, 193, 230. Pretty big, drastic numbers. And then, of course, the ultimate measure is going to be these closings, right? 223 end of the month number, 173, 192, 185 compared to, let's say, these January numbers, right? 147, 134, 154. Not crazy different, but you can definitely see that February was higher than January just in Fulton County. If I run through all the counties, here's DeKalb, 370 in active inventory. End of January was 340. So there's more inventory in DeKalb County right now. Pendings, same story. We're at 166, but 189, 207, 204 compared to 101, 147, 167, 160, right? Closings, 141, 111, 118, 127 compared to double-digit closings for most of January in DeKalb County, right? So you can see the uptick to February. If we run out to Cobb County, you got 252 in active inventory, so it's actually down. At the end of January, there was 348. So what that tells me is you're probably selling out your inventory and not replacing it, which is not great for buyers because it's going to drive prices up in Cobb County. But it could be a great story for sellers. Looking at the pendings, 212, 226, 217, anywhere from 97, 186, 208, 216. You can still see a slight increase in pendings. On the sales side, 152, 109, 156, 172, 122, 122, 105. So maybe not as much in Cobb County, but you can still see February coming out a little bit higher than the January numbers. What do you see?
I see exactly that, Brett. I mean, the number one job of a real estate agent, we heard today, as I keep letting people in, is to provide perspective, right? And this is providing perspective of a normal spring market, which throw away the last 24 months we've had and jump back 2 years ago, this looks normal. This is what we're used to, being in the business for quite some time. And it is setting up to be a normal spring market. It looks like we live in one of the best areas in the country regarding real estate goes. And it looks to be evening out and coming into the spring market, which we're excited about.
Yep, there you go. Let's jump over to some stuff that came out of Anaheim. So Gary Keller, if you have the passcode, you can get into this, the realestatestats.com. If you don't, see your team leader. But we posted all the Vision 2023 stats from Family Reunion on here under the national statistics. Matt, here, I'm not going to go into all these today, but there's a couple that I want to point out real quick. One is home sales annually. Now, this is not Atlanta, this is US. So in 2021, we sold 6.1 million homes, and it dropped to 5.0 million homes in 2022. Here's the reminder, though. The first half of 22 was on fire. The second half was not. So you felt the bigger dip in the second half than you did the first half. And going from 6.1 down to 5.0 is a lot of homes that we sold the previous year that we did not sell this year. If you didn't feel it, you weren't in the game, right? Like anybody in the game felt it. We felt it at a brokerage level. I'm assuming most agents felt it at an agent level. So we're hanging out in bad news for a minute, Matt. If you take 5.0 million homes, you got to go back to basically 2014, 2012, which was basically the last recessionary period, to kind of get the same cadence or velocity of homes moving through the market. So all that to say, it's not new information. There's less transactions in the marketplace at the moment. However, you can look through all this. But if you jump down here to total market volume, in 2022, there was $2.5 trillion worth of real estate that was sold. So what's that mean? Second best year on record for real estate sold. So one, you had your worst year in units in probably 7 years, maybe a little longer, second best year ever in volume sold. So here's the truth to the real estate industry. We have pay raises built into our industry. It's called price appreciation. So if you stay in real estate long enough, your income goes up because we're paid on a percentage of sales price. And our market volume is way up compared to what our units are. So to some people, their income actually went up and they sold less houses. To other people, they sold less houses and made less money. The question is, how do you strategize through this information to actually get your unfair share? The other thing is they're predicting $2.1 trillion in sales volume in 2023, which would be the third best year in record history for real estate sales volume. However, it won't come at the same number of units. It'll come with less units, but higher dollar price contracts. Matt, say something I've been saying a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think what we heard at Family Reunion on this slide was if we just showed you this slide out of all the other slides, we would just throw a big party, because this is basically saying the amount of commission dollars there are going to be the third best since '99 and forever, really. So this is a telling slide. And as we know, agents are paid on volume, not units. Yet, I think the important part that you just said that it hit home for me was there's a lot of opportunity out there. People still have life events that they want to move on, and they will move on, and it's still going to happen. And there's a ton of unfair market share to be had. That's just really your choice. in this market. That slide right there is giving you perspective that there's going to be a lot of profit and money to be made. You're just going to have to, as Jason Abrams said today, be very likable and talk to more people, a lot more people. Yet there's so much opportunity as compared to the other years that's still out there.
Yeah. I heard an overarching message in Anaheim: stop being transactional and be more relational. If you're treating your real estate transactions like a transaction first and trying to create relationships second, you're going to miss the residual effect of our industry. If you treat your relationships first and transactions second, you'll sell a lot of houses and have a big database-based business.
That's so true. I mean, people at the end of the day, there's a million realtors out there. They do business with who they like. And if they like you and you're likable, who are you in relationship with? How many people? That's how you sell more real estate. It's not a transactional game. It's a deeper relationship than that. That, like you said, I think you're talking about referrals and other avenues of getting business out of the same people by treating them like they should be treated.
So we've got a new tab. It's the NAR statistics. So in part of Gary's vision speech, he added all the survey questions that the National Association of Realtor does every year. And I just want to point out one. You can go through all this stuff on your own. But here's the slide I want to point out, Matt. It's the primary reason for purchasing a home. And when he put this slide up, there's a couple of comments I'd like to make, and I would like to know what you see in these numbers. The number one reason for owning a home is just the desire to own a home. That speaks to motivation, right? Has it changed? Actually, it's gone down a little bit, right? Which I find interesting. I think that's a generational thing. And I think it may be an affordability thing. But let's hold for that for a minute and look at some of the other stats. Desire for a smaller home went from 5 to 8. Retirement went from 4 to 8. Desire for a larger home went from 14% down to 7%. So these are some shifts, right?
Oh.
Job relocation went from 12 down to 6. And then obviously there's some lower percentages down towards the bottom. But number 2 is desire to be closer to family and friends. Basically, there wasn't data in 2006, but 2010, it was a 5. And now it's a 16. And that's not far off from being desire to own a home.
No.
So here's what I thought, Matt, when I saw this. If I'm a practicing real estate agent and messaging matters, what would I should take this slide and tailor my messaging on social media, tailor my messaging on marketing to speak to the reasons why people are buying and selling real estate.
So
what do you think that looks like? How would you speak to the reason of a desire to own a home?
I love that. And, seeing this slide again for the second time, it makes me think, who wants to be closer to family and friends? I think a lot of it has to do with families who have younger kids, and then you have adults who come back to be closer to their grandkids or their kids. You have 2 big gaps, and you got the largest group of in the next 5 years of first-time home buyers coming into the market who a lot of times are raising kids, want to be close to family, right? So there's a big target, I think, at both ends of that spectrum, at both ends of that age gap, where older people are moving closer to come back to their kids, and you got younger people moving closer to their parents or buying near their parents to have help with childcare. Because another stat that they showed us too was inflation costs and the effect of that. And one of the biggest, most expensive items in the inflation category, Brett, I believe, was daycare and things like that. So all of that makes sense and adds up. I think the messaging would be maybe more targeted for those 2 spectrums. Yet it's really telling within 7-8 years how much that has changed from 5 to 16%, and it's on the rise.
Are you talking about this crazy slide?
There you go. Childcare and nursery up 123%.
So basically, if 2000, the different sectors, how much they inflated or deflated since the year 2000. Hospitals gone up 227%. College tuition has gone up 163 and 180, textbooks and tuition. Medical care, child care. So Gary's comment to that was, hey, if you're aging or you got school age kids, sorry, everybody else has more money in their pocket.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is TVs have gone down 97%. Like I remember we used to have to budget to buy a TV. Now it's just like you run down to Target and just buy a TV these days.
Right.
Toys, like it was a thing to go buy toys back in the day, right? But this just shows that not all goods and services are equal. And depending on your phase of life, inflation will hit you harder than other areas. People in different phases get hit differently. But anyway, I want to go back to this for a second. So something I heard at family reunion, which in my 24 years in real estate, maybe my brain just never heard it before, but there's a term called cost of living. And when you buy a house, you actually lock in your cost of living. So if I buy a house today, I'm locking in my cost of living more or less for the next 30 years based on that mortgage payment of that property. Whether I'm paying a 7% interest or a 2% interest, I'm still locking in a cost of living for the next so many years of my life. If I'm buying a house as an investor, whether I'm paying a 7% interest or a 2% interest, I'm actually locking in my debt service to where my return on investment and my cash flow will continue to grow over time. And the gift of all this is I'll have an opportunity at some point to reassess that position and lower it. But what won't happen is it won't go up.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, anybody that's bought a house or your parents go, I can't believe you're paying that for a house, because when I walked uphill both ways in the snow with barefoot, I paid this for a house. It's because they locked in their cost of living 20 years before you locked in your cost of living. And
yeah,
the person that's going to buy a house 20 years from now is going to lock it in even higher. So the question, Matt, is, does my messaging explain to people that yes, interest rates are what they are, but if you wait a year hoping, you're actually going to lock in a higher cost of living for the next 30 years of your life instead of locking it in today and refinancing it later.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the smartest things you've said in a while, Brett, honestly. And I love this question.
Keep talking.
It's not saying much. What I'll say is, though, I think your last part about how do you use it after your messaging, and your question was really, really good. And if you're having this conversation with the buyer, it's, do you think the cost of living is going to be less today or in 3 years? Or if someone says, I want to wait a year, I want to wait 2 years, is the cost of living in that house rate going to be the same today as it is in 3 years? And if you look at history, if you set the tone, it's not going to be, right? So it's a great thought-provoking question that I think is one of the best things you could be asking a client after you set the message right now.
Yeah. I'm looking at Natalie on here because her face is on my screen. And she just put a big post out on social media about a home buying event that she's hosting. And her messaging is speaking to, do you have a desire to own a home?
Yeah.
If you do, attend this event. That's how it's supposed to go down, right? So anyway, I think it's worthy of popping through here and looking through these things and thinking to yourself, how can I design my messaging around these things to attract people to buy and sell real estate. Matt, anything else on those?
I would just say that last one, I was just reading through the list, and the last one on there is desire for a newly built or custom built home. And we went through the whole phase where it was new build and custom, and that was a lot of the messaging out there. This is saying something a little different, which is super helpful if you ask me.
Yeah. All right. New home transactions roar to life with strongest sales pace in a year. What do you make of that? I gotta log in real quick. Sorry. What do you make of that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, just taking a first look at the article, Brett, it looks to me like there's still there was a small dip, and I think is this from the last quarter or first quarter? When is this?
Yeah, this was actually came out today, but it does talk a lot about January. But let me point out some things, and can I be tongue in cheek for a minute? Let me see where it is in here. They were poking fun at a couple things, and where is it? Anyway, it was just saying that new construction, maybe it was in that other article, but the new construction was really the days on market went up a little bit, but it's still under 3 months of days on market, but the value of the properties are holding. And there's a new life, and the builders are doubling down a little bit right now and building some new construction because they're finally hearing the message that their opportunity in new construction is our challenge with low inventory.
Yeah.
And as our challenge with low inventory persists, the smart builders are playing into that card. So most real estate agents, their go-to is FMLS. Their go-to is Georgia MLS, right? And not all new construction lives in those spaces, one. And two, do you know how to find it? Because that's a big part of what I think success will come from this year is this new home construction phase. This says investors are buying fewer homes, but market share is expected to hold steady. It's the same conversation we were having, Matt, about locking in your debt service. An uneducated investor is going to be very conscious around rate because they feel like the cost of money is directly related to how well they can get their return on investment. Yet if they really understand logically and they're making an unemotional purchase, there's incredible deals right now, and they're locking in their debt service so that the property can appreciate over time, and rent, at least in my 24 years, has gone nowhere but up on residential investment real estate.
Yeah. So I'll take a stab at the first one, Brett. I think with the new construction article, if you look at it, if I were to go back 4 or 5 years ago and share the data of what it looked like then versus what it looks like now, I would see as a builder, if you're really looking at data and really looking at smart data, the opportunity is now. It's still a high demand market. Nothing has changed, and it probably looks better than 4 or 5 years ago when they were building as well. So I definitely see opportunity there. Also, news sells. So I think a lot of, if you go to the investor side, if you look at the news and the panic and the things that are going on, if you're not looking at actual real data and educated like investors should be, I could see why you do back off, you do run. And there's probably a little bit of that going on. So
100%. Well, let's shift gears real quick. So artificial intelligence is like alive in our space, and you've got this chat GPT, I want to say GPT, which we've talked a lot about on here, but there's so many new AI companies that are coming out. I'm going to show, I have one called Otter AI. I use this one every time I'm on a Zoom call. it shows up and takes notes for me. And it sends me a transcription of everything that I say or my participants say. And it's a pretty cool thing. However, there's a creepy one, not creepy, but cool. Let me find it real quick. It's called, under video, it's called this synthesia.io. So Matt, here's what happens. I go to Chat GPT and I say, write me a script for a reel on blankety blank. And I take the script and I send the script to Synthesia, and they create a talking video on my behalf of the script. So now you remember the whole deep fakes, like now all of a sudden I've got a deep fake video with a script that I told them to create for me. And I'm just telling you, I'm trying to be like open-minded and keep my head on as our industry moves in certain directions. But this is a create video from plain text in minutes artificial intelligence platform. I don't know.
No, I'm all in on all of it. I pasted a few of them in there. You went over synthesis, but there's a lot of the Chat GPT. I think I've been using it for about 2 months, and it's incredible. But I think it's only the beginning of the AI, and I think it's the year of AI in business. So embracing playing with some of these is a smart idea.
Yeah, there's a company that I'm researching right now to see if we can bring it to the Heart of Atlanta agents, which is a home management artificial intelligence software. I'm doing all the due diligence on it right now. But I mean, it's moving really, really fast. And so if we're on industry update every Monday, I'm not going to spend an enormous amount of time talking about all this, but our commitment is to keep our finger on the pulse around where our industry is going. And this is just some of this will land and some of it won't. But it's worthy of a read. The hottest tools to add to your AI toolbox in 2023 on Inman News. All right. Parting words, Matt Pitts.
I think the AI conversation is smart. I guess parting words would be a big overarching thing around family reunion, Brett, was mindset and getting yourself right and digging into your health and your wellness and your mental wellness, because during tougher times, during trying times, although there is opportunity, if you don't have yourself right, if you're not measuring yourself right, if you're not taking care of yourself, none of it's going to matter, or you're going to fizzle out. So as important as all this stuff is, make sure you're either having some accountability around that, or get a coach around your health and wellness and mindset, because it's going to be more important than ever.
Yeah. And thanks to you, I'm mad at you. You want to share?
Yeah. I challenge Brett with we do a thing called 75 hard. I'm kind of the mindset, whether you like it or not. I feel like I have to do hard things to myself, because as a team leader or agent, or as you guys know, hard things happen to us all the time. And I just want to be more prepared in life to deal with those hard things.
So thanks to Matt, I committed and took a ice cold shower this morning. And I'm supposed to do it for 75 days in a row. So if I get a little cranky, it's Matt's fault.
Oh, you're only going to. Yeah.
Happy Monday, everybody.
74 more days. Let's go.
Yeah. Bye.